Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I normally don't do this program by myself, but once again, Mr. Mikey, we had some technical difficulties, and unfortunately, Mike is not going to be able to be here today. But hey, folks, I'm here, you're here, so we're going to have a good time. So let's make sure that we do that. So do us a favor, however you want to communicate with us, however you want to tune in, however you want to let folks know what is on your mind. Do me a favor, drop in a comment, let me know what's up, and if I get a chance, if I check it out, I will make sure to read your comment on the air during the program. Before we get going, though, let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Let's start with Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. They sell both rifle and pistol length barrels. If you own a new AR, chances are you already own one of their barrels. But even if you don't, hey, why not get a new barrel? Re-barrel your current rifle, or who knows, maybe just do yourself your own new build. But whatever you do, make sure you go to hitmanindustries.net and get your pistol and rifle barrels today. Also, make sure to go to California Republican Assembly. That's cragop.org. Ronald Reagan once called the California Republican Assembly the conscience of the Republican Party. These are folks who are working to help elect conservatives, from dog catcher all the way up to President of the United States. So do us a favor. Visit their website. Check them out. If you like what you see, become a member today. Also, remember Hog Holsters? That's hogholsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. All you got to do is go to hogholsters.com. Make sure you use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces. Check them out. Get your Hog Holster, concealed carry holster today. And finally, if you're looking for outdoor gear, tactical gear, whatever it might be, you will find it at uscombatgear.com. That's right, uscombatgear.com. Check them out. They have all the outdoor tactical gear you could be looking for, whether you're looking for eyes, whether you're looking for ears, whether you're looking for hats, clothing, backpacks, knives, you name it, they've got it. Check them out today. All right, let's go ahead and let's get into today's stories. The first one I wanted to hit on. Now, Friday, we talked a little bit about the Tyre Nichols video. You may remember this is the gentleman, the motorist, who was pulled over and was basically subjected to, let's just say he got beat down by the police. We'll just put it that way. And, on Friday, we kind of took a look at and analyzed the video. While everything that we said about that particular video that we were analyzing, that was analyzed, was accurate, it was the wrong video. Yeah, I did that. That's all on me. But so we went back, and over the weekend, Mike and I both had a chance to take a look at the correct video. The interesting thing was about that particular conversation was there were a lot of things that were said about the other video, things that the officers, even though those officers are probably going to be in some trouble, things that they did right and they did within their training, which then in turn with this next video, with the right, when we watched the right video, turned out, there were a lot of things there were a lot of issues and a lot of problems and concerns with what was seen in the Tyre Nichols video. And I think that, because you're seeing people, whether people who are pro law enforcement, who support law enforcement, or even we'll call them the defunders, even amongst them, I don't know anybody who is defending, or who has seen the video, who is defending the position that the police took, or the conduct of the law enforcement officers. Without getting into a lot of detail about it, I'll just put it to you this way. The closest I've seen to anyone coming to defend it is simply, look, let's get all of the information. Let's see the entirety of the video. Let's find out exactly what was going on. And that's the absolute most I've heard from anybody saying, why they don't want to 100% pass judgment because they haven't seen the entire video. Me, I got to be honest with you. It's pretty damning what you see. There are instances where the officers, number one, They number one, when they took him out of his car, we don't know why. Every video that I saw started with them approaching the car and demanding that he get out of his car. There were a total, I think there was a New York Post or a New York Times analysis, one of the two, I don't remember which one it was, that estimated that he was given a total of 71 often contradictory directions to follow by law enforcement. And they basically making it almost impossible for him to be able to comply with everything that they had requested him to do. One of my biggest areas of concern is too. Number one, there were comments about him, and later there are videos where they are standing around talking, and they're saying that the individual went after one of the officer's guns. But I'm trying to figure out exactly at what point, when his hands were tied behind, when he was cuffed, at what point he was a threat, and still it was necessary to further subdue him. One of the things that Mike had brought up was that hits to the body or strikes to the body and the face or the head are considered potentially deadly force. And there's specific, conditions that have to exist in order to be able to use deadly force. In the other video that we saw, they were focused specifically on the extremities in an attempt to make it so that the person could not resist. But that was not the case, and it did not appear to be the case here. Anyway, I really wish Mike could have been here because he probably could have gone into a little bit more detail about some of that. But having said that, I just wanted you folks to know, if you were wondering why the video from Friday is not up, it's just because, even though these statements were accurate regarding the video that we saw, I did not want to have any. This is just me. I did not want to have any confusion regarding what we saw in our analysis of the Tyre Nichols video. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. But I have to tell you, I honestly believe that this conduct is a rarity. And I happen to believe that, based on what I've seen so far, and anyone out there can correct me if I'm wrong. If there's more information, if there's more stuff to come out, who knows? Maybe I'll change my position. But it's going to be really hard to take a look at what occurred and find it justified. These officers were fired, released from their positions relatively quickly, and were arrested relatively quickly. When I say relatively, I mean they could have been arrested that night or the day the individual died. But considering how these cases usually go, it was relatively quickly. It's going to be an interesting discussion about racism because, all of these officers were black. So now the question is going to come, here's what's going to happen. The folks on the left are basically going to say, it doesn't matter if they were black because they're blue before they are black. That's what folks on the left are going to say. But anyway, it's going to be an interesting conversation about all of this. And once again, I just think that this has very little to do with race and has everything to do with how we train officers, in particular when they get into an excited state. And I think that's a big part of what you have here. You have an incident where evidently he was driving recklessly for some reason. That got them worked up. When they attempted to subdue him initially, and I got my feelings about the steps they took there. That guy, when he got up and ran, when he was able to get away and run, and fearing for his life, and I do believe that he was fearing for his life, when he got up and ran, they made it a point that they were going to catch him, and when they caught him, that amped them up even further. And needless to say, I think that's what added to a lot of that situation. It is a very sad situation, and no one should have to be subjected to something like that, regardless of their race, regardless of of anything. No one should have to be subjected to something like that. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this thing winds up playing out in court. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents on that. Let us know how you guys feel about it. Just go ahead and drop a comment in the chat section. All right, next we have Maxine Waters. Now, In a day and age where people more and more are trying to get away from the partisanship, right? They really want to start to see people in government working together to solve our problems. You have someone like Maxine Waters, who has basically made it a career of being bombastic, of race baiting, there in the U.S. House of Representatives. And recently on CNN, when asked about, well, now that this has happened with the Tyre Nichols case, and what do you think the chances are that there is going to be any sort of resolution, that they're going to be able to come up with some sort of police reform? This was her response.
We have these right-wing conservatives who are, we have domestic terrorists in the House of Representatives. These people are extremists. And so I'm not optimistic that that's the way it's going to happen until the people of this country really decide that they don't want it and they're not.
All right, so now think about that. She is saying that they are domestic terrorists. So she's saying elected members to the House of Representatives are domestic terrorists. Now I want you to imagine this. Imagine if a Republican said that about Maxine Waters, that she was a domestic terrorist. Because keep in mind, this is a woman who has encouraged people to attack Republicans or attack anyone when they were in the Trump administration, to attack them, to assault them, to accost them in public. If they see them in public, get in their face, make them uncomfortable, yell at them, scream at them. These are the things that she is encouraging people to do. It's words like hers that led to the riots that broke out during the summer of 2020. It's words like hers that caused the riots that broke out when Donald Trump was elected president. If there is anybody who qualifies as motivating domestic terrorism, it's Maxine Waters. And yet she's the one who's saying of Republicans that they are domestic terrorists. Folks, this sort of, it's hyperbole is what it is. And I get it. I get that there's going to be hyperbole. But when you start referring to people, to elected representatives, as domestic terrorists, you've gone over a bridge too far. And you're doing a bit much. And you need to really rethink the words that you decide that you're going to use about the people who are elected to represent various different communities throughout the country. So, Maxine Waters, all I can say is you are the pot calling the kettle black. Just my 2 cents once again. Okay, moving right along. War with China. What? War with China? That's right. There is a U.S. general. He is actually an Air Force general who, and by the way, there's a number of media outlets that are reporting on this. I'm just using the one particular here from The Hill. But there's a U.S. general who is predicting that we are soon, and when I say soon, I mean as soon as 2025, we are to be at war in China. And here's the story reads. A U.S. general said in a memo on Friday that he believes the country will be at war with China by 2025, according to several outlets that obtained a copy of the communication. Quote, I am hoping I am wrong. General, that thing popped right up in the way. There we go. General Mike Minahan, a 4-star Air Force general who led the Air Mobility Command, AMC, said in a memo to his troops under his command, which first was reported on NBC News. Now, folks, why are we going to be at war with China? Well, let's just put it this way. I'll put it to you in one word. It's likely to be Taiwan. China is taking a look at how we are handling, for example, if you want to call it the annexing, some of us would call it the invasion of Ukraine by Vladimir Putin. And they're seeing that while we have been willing to commit resources, and when I say resources, I mean money and weapons, we have not been willing to put boots on the ground. And so there is a belief that initially what will wind up happening is they're going to have an election. They have an election that's going to be coming up, and in that election, they are going to work to try and thwart the election and elect pro-China or pro-reunification people to office. And if they are successful, well, then they will vote to rejoin China, to reunify with China, and that will be that. If they are unsuccessful, then there is a belief that there will be military intervention, that they will engage militarily, primarily because they believe that the United States will not do anything about it. So anyway, that's kind of where he's coming from. Once again, he's hoping he's wrong. I'm hoping he is wrong, as I'm sure you are hoping he is wrong. But just so you know that there are those high up in the U.S. military who believe that war is a coming in not too distant future. Hopefully, that will be that by that time we will have a new president, a Republican president, who will make it clear to China, to Russia, and to others that the U.S. don't play. Don't mess with us. Don't mess with our friends. Just saying. And then finally, from the state of California, that's right, California, where I happen to live. I love my state. I wish it weren't run by communist socialists, but in fact, it is. And by the way, that's not most people in the state. In fact, the state is probably about 40 to 45%. I'd probably say it's more center left, slightly center left. But once again, Democrats make up 78% of the legislature because, well, they cheat. But, that's a whole nother story. But, they make up a big portion of the legislature. Anyway, suffice that to say, now in the state of California, California has now issued over 1 million driver's licenses to undocumented or illegal immigrants since 2015. Now, mind you, these are documents that can be used all sorts of ways. But once again, these are people. Now, by the way, we also have this thing called motor voter in California, where you are, when you get your driver's license, you are automatically registered to vote. And we already have on record that there have been tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, but there have been tens of thousands of people that we know of that have been registered to vote who were not supposed to be registered to vote. People who were not just undocumented, but even legal residents. Some of them were actually legal residents who are here legally, but they're not citizens and therefore not eligible to vote. These are folks, by the way, who many of which are also eligible for, well, they're all receiving, free education, free healthcare, housing subsidies. And then we wonder why California has more than its fair share of undocumented or illegal immigrants here in the United States. Well, that's because we keep offering prizes and rewards for them to come to the country illegally. And you may not see it that way. They may see it as just, well, we're just trying to help people who are in need. But the reality here is, folks, is that we're providing incentives for people to break the law and enter our country illegally. And that has got to stop. Now, Gavin Newsom, rumored to be, and I say rumored because he has said he is not going to run for president. But I think you and I know everything that he's doing, all the conversations that he is working to have, all of it tells me that he is looking to run for president, of the United States. I think he is sorely overestimating his position. He is really doing his best to try and join the wokedivists within his party. But the wokedivists aren't even the majority within the Democratic Party. I don't know how he expects to win a national election. Anyway, I don't know how he proposes to win a national election when he is actually he is going to be even in the minority within his own party. And by the way, we're seeing the consequences of this, folks. Think about this in California. We have almost 30% of the nation's homeless. We don't have we have people here who live here in California now who cannot afford a home or who are unhoused. And now he wants to bring even more people into the country, many of them low skilled or no skilled workers, and wants to put them on the government dime. I don't see it happening, especially when you consider the fact that we are currently facing a $24 billion deficit. Budget deficit here in California, and that budget deficit is likely to grow in coming years. So one has to wonder exactly how we're going to pay for all this stuff. But he doesn't worry about it because he plans on being out of here before the check comes due. All right. And on that note, we're going to move forward to our parting shot, brought to you by Hog Holsters. That's helping Americans wear guns. Get your holsters at hogholsters.com. All you got to do is go there, pick out your holster, and when you go to pay, make sure you use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces. Check it out. Get your Hog holster today. All right. Well, let's pick out this first one. I think Bill Maher is... Politically, Bill Maher and I don't know that we could be any further apart on many, many issues. But I think one of the things that Bill Maher is he is an old school liberal who is fighting against the wokedivism or the presentism. Well, I'll let you hear what he has to say on this one. I'll let you chew on that. We'll talk about it on the flip side.
Presentism, which means judging everyone in the past by the standards of the present. It's the belief that people who lived 100 or 500 or 1,000 years ago really, of course, but people back then were generally atrocious. Everybody who could afford one had a slave. The Sumerians, the Egyptians, the Greeks, Romans, the Arabs, British, the early Americans. The word slave comes from Slav because so many Slavic people were enslaved, and they're as white as the Hallmark Channel. But in today's world, when truth conflicts with narrative, it's the truth that has to apologize. Being woke is like a magic moral time machine where you judge everybody against what you imagine you would have done in 1066, and you always win. A couple of years ago, they made a movie called The Aeronauts about the scientists who broke the record for the highest altitude in a balloon. In fact, they were both men. But the movie made one of them a woman because, as the director explained, representation is important. So true. Women never get enough credit for the things they didn't do.
But folks, that's the world we live in now. We are so worried about, we're so worried we want to create this false narrative. We're so worried about quote unquote equity that we're not providing any equality or fairness. We're so worried about social justice that we completely and utterly ignore justice, right? It makes absolutely no sense. So much so that even old school liberals, and by the way, the old school liberal is the person who believes, look, I bring my ideas to the table, you bring your ideas to the table, we'll fight it out. And you know what? In the end, we're going to vote. We're going to decide what direction we're going to go. But that's not what these wokedivists want. What they want is they want to undermine and destroy every single facet of society. They want to destroy our schools. They want to destroy the family. They want to destroy the church. They want to destroy the criminal justice system. They want to destroy the government because somehow miraculously, out of all of this stuff, out of the ashes of everything that they have destroyed, will come this phoenix of something new. Now, the problem is, ask the people in Cuba or Venezuela or Maoist China or the Soviet Union. Ask them what sort of phoenix came out of the ashes of their socialist totalitarianism. But I digress. What do I know? Anyway, moving right along to some of our other things here. Oh, here we go. No, this is a good one. So you know that we're still working on, and President Biden is fully committed to making sure that we provide resources, financial resources to the Ukrainians so that they can, well, I don't know if we're looking for them to win the war or just continue to be involved in the war, because we haven't really heard about a plan for success or victory. But anyway, what determines victory? But Biden made sure, and he wanted to let Mr. Zelensky know, the president of Ukraine, that, we got things in place. We're working to make sure you get your money. And here in this meme, you got President Zelensky saying, "Where's the money, Joe?" And then you got Joe saying, "Relax. I've got 87,000 IRS agents collecting it now." And folks, just so you know, they are not collecting those 87,000 agents they just hired. They're not collecting it from the poor. They're collecting it from us. Just so you know. And then finally, this last one. As you know, Alec Baldwin, is now facing He's now facing manslaughter charges, involuntary manslaughter charges. You also know that that there are people who want to see charges filed against President Donald Trump for whatever reason. They're trying to tie him to January 6th. You and I both know that's a bunch of hooey, but there is a good chance that Donald Trump will wind up spending some time. Here, this one is the only Donald Trump that is going to go to prison. And for those of you who are just listening to the program, well, this is the Alec Baldwin Saturday Night Live impression of Donald Trump. Yeah, that is the Donald Trump that is likely to be spending some time in the Huskow because, we'll see. I'm not convinced necessarily that he's gonna. He's the one that's gonna face some charges. How about that? How about we go with that one? Anyway, all right, folks. Well, hey. Before we go, let me make sure to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Remember Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. Check them out today. Also, California Republican Assembly. Support be a part of California's future today. Hog Holsters. Visit them at hogholsters.com. Make sure you use that discount code, The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. And finally, get your combat gear, tactical gear, outdoor gear at uscombatgear.com. And on that, we will let you go, and we will be back tomorrow. And Mikey will be back with us on Taco Tuesday. So you guys take care. Have a good evening. We'll talk to you later.